What's going on, guys? So today we're going to talk about a highly anticipated question that you guys have been asking me for the longest time, and that is, do you get to go home after basic training before AIT? Now, before I get started on this video, real quick, the best military YouTuber competition this round, this bracket, the Sweet 16 is going on right now. So link in the description so you guys can head over to Twitter where you can vote for me in this whole competition. Hopefully we'll get to the Elite 8. Counting on you guys, let's do our best. So, getting into the actual topic of the video now, whenever you leave from basic training, whenever you get to basic training, whenever you leave and you go to AIT, is there going to be a time period in there when you're actually going to get to go home? Now, I know what my experience was, and I know what some of my friends' experience was. I even asked my brother what his experience was, and I even looked up, some of the stuff online just to make sure that I'm right on this one. And you guys are going to hate this answer because it's the answer for a lot of things, and it's kind of, it depends. I'm gonna let you guys know my story because I actually did get to go home for the weekend before AIT, right? So I had graduated from basic training and I got to go home Friday night and Saturday night, and I had to go back to Fort Gordon, which is where my AIT was at, and I had to be there on Sunday. So I actually got to go home after basic training, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to get to go home after basic training. The only circumstance when you are definitely going to get to go home after basic training is if you are a split up soldier and you do not have any training after basic training. So you're going to basic training and that's it. You don't have to do anything else until you come back the next year or whatever, and then you got to go to your AIT. So if your basic training is the last bit of training that you have to do, then yes, after graduation is over, you got family day, and then the next day you have graduation. So after graduation, you will be able to go home. The drill sergeants will be like, freaking just get out of here, right? The rest of the soldiers who are going to go to AIT, they're going to have a different little bit of an experience, right? So when you're going to AIT after basic training, what you're going to do is you're going to sleep at your basic training company, wherever your barracks is. You're going to be staying there one more night where the drill sergeants are going to be a little bit more relaxed. You're probably going to have your phones, and that's going to be really fun for you guys. So you're going to be staying there one more night, and then you're going to ship off to AIT the next day. So from my experience, from what I've asked and what I've read, you are not going to be able to leave to go home from your basic training company. The reason being is when you're at basic training, that company is responsible for you until you check into the other company. So if you leave from basic training and you have AIT, so if you were to go home, from basic training, for me, it was from Fort Benning. So if I were to left from Fort Benning and then I went home, then that Fort Benning basic training company is still responsible for me because I haven't checked into my next unit. So what they're going to do is they're basically going to force everybody, well, that you have to, but they're going to make everybody who is going to go to AIT, you're going to go to AIT, and then once you get to your AIT unit, for me, it was Fort Gordon, Georgia, which is actually pretty close to where I live, which I'll let you guys know why that let me or allowed me to go home. So you're going to get to AIT. I had no clue about this at all whenever I got to AIT, but when you get to AIT, you're going to start doing some in-processing, all of this, and during that, you might get the opportunity to go home. I know I found this out about almost once we were done through the whole in-processing thing. There was like this paperwork, somebody came out and they were like, hey, if any of you guys want to go home, check the yes box or whatever, and then you'll get all the paperwork and stuff done real quick, and then if you live within 150 miles of that basic training base, that post or whatever, Fort Gordon for me is literally, it's like right on that limit of 150 miles from home for me. So what I did was, as soon as I found that out, I was like, are you serious? Like, I can actually go home for this weekend? Like, you've got to be kidding me right now. And they're like, yeah, like if you want to go home, you can go home. So I called up my mom. It took her several hours. It's like, a 3 or 4 hour drive or something from where I currently live to where Fort Gordon is. She made it there, took me home, and then I had to be back at AIT. It was just midday. I don't know if it was like 3 or 4 o'clock or something. So long story short, I did have the opportunity to go home after basic training and before AIT because I lived within 150 miles of that basic training post where I was at. So what's going to be the problem for most of you is you're probably not going to luck out like I did. So if I lived in North Carolina, which I do now, and then I were to go and my AIT was going to be in Oklahoma at Fort Sill, That's not 150 miles away. That's a lot farther than that. So I would have had to book a flight. I would have to go through this whole process, and they're not going to let you do that. There's a reason why they want you to stay a certain distance away, because if they start letting soldiers and recruits start going all over the country and just going out everywhere for just that like 2 days, there's going to be a whole lot of issues. It's just going to happen. So if you do live close to where your AIT is going to be at, and if you don't know where your AIT is going to be at, you can literally just Google that. So whatever MOS you have, it's probably on the GoArmy.com site, or you can just look up where this MOS AIT is located. You can figure out where that basic training poster is, that AIT post is, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm 100 miles away from this. So hopefully, as long as the commander of your AIT company allows it, then you should get to go home after basic training and before AIT. Now there's 2 more things I want to talk about whenever it comes to going home in military training, that if you're not going to have the chance to go home at AIT or before AIT starts, don't stress about too much. If you have a longer AIT, you're probably going to have time to go home for a 4-day weekend. So if you guys didn't know, the military a lot of times has 4-day weekends during big holidays and stuff. So, let's say Easter is coming up. Easter is probably going to be a 4-day weekend. I don't know that for sure. I just know it's a pretty big holiday. So Easter is probably going to be a 4-day weekend. So that means that, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are going to be all the days that you have off, or maybe Monday would be the day off and you just shift the days around. So those are going to be all days that you get to have off. And if you're at AIT, what you can do is you can fill out a packet and get that approved. And as long as you have the leave days saved up and you've passed all of your specific AIT requirements to be able to go home. For us, whenever I was at Fort Gordon as a 25 Bravo, in order to go home, you had to be a Phase 5 plus, which basically meant you had to be at AIT for longer than 11 weeks and have passed all of the little test things that you have to do to become Phase 5 plus. So if your basic training or if your AIT company has certain requirements for you to be able to go home, so if you're meeting those requirements and you fill out the packet, you get that approved, and you have the leave days available, then you will be able to go home on that 4-day weekend. You'll get to fly home. You will have to pay for all of your travel. The military is not going to pay for your travel. So if you ever go on leave or something, you are going to have to pay for it, right? So if you don't have the chance to go home right after basic training, hopefully you will have the chance to go home for that 4-day leave. And if you have a really short AIT, you're probably not going to have that opportunity, but at the same time, you have a really short AIT. The last thing that I want to talk about is the hometown recruiting. And if you guys didn't know what hometown recruiting is, if you're active duty after AIT, so after you graduate from AIT, you can have the option to apply for this hometown recruiting thing, which is where you have to live within 50 miles of a recruiting station or whatever. And what you do is for 2 weeks before you get to your first duty station after AIT, you're going to basically go home for 2 weeks. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to work at the recruiter's office. You're going to be helping them out there. You're going to be going to different high schools and stuff, and basically, I guess, talking to the different JROTC programs. I'm not 100% sure on everything that you're going to do, but I know you're going to be doing basically both those things, helping out your recruiter or recruiters, and then going and talking to high schools, JROTC, all that stuff like that. So you're going to have the opportunity to go home for 2 weeks before you go somewhere else. So if you might be getting, stationed in Alaska or something, you could go home for 2 weeks and get that time with your family before heading on over to Alaska. And then once you have the time and the days built up and stuff like that, you're going to be able to go on leave if you want to. Now, I do want to let you guys know, in the military, this is not really related to this video, I guess, or it kind of is, but in the military, you get your leave days. So you get 2.5 days of leave for every month. And a lot of people, and sometimes recruiters kind of twist things to where it sounds like you can take those leave days whenever the heck you want, which, depending on the situation, you can apply to go on leave whenever you want, but ultimately it's not up to you. So if you want to go on leave for a vacation, July 4th weekend, you might not get that leave, right? So you're just gonna have to apply for these things whenever you do get leave days. So that's kind of just the way the military is in general. If you want to go home and you want to go on leave, you can apply, but the Army doesn't necessarily have to approve that unless obviously it is a legit family emergency. As always, if you guys didn't know, you can contact the Red Cross whenever somebody's at basic training and let them know, hey, a serious incident has happened in the family and you need to get a hold of them. That's how you can go about doing that. Contact the Red Cross. But that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I've been asked this question several times, so if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around with some more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. If you made it to the end of this video and you have a Twitter, or if you want to make a Twitter and you want to go vote for me on the best military YouTuber competition that is going on right now, like now, so you can click off this video and head over to Twitter, or go in the description and hit that little URL button, then pull up my Twitter and then hit Matt Ward to vote for me. I would really appreciate that, guys. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.